Çekirdek InsurTech seminerlerimize yine yeniden hoş geldiniz. Mentoru Teknokent çatısı altındaki kuluçka merkezimiz Çekirdek'te teknoloji girişimcileri için programlarımıza, desteklerimize devam ediyoruz. Bugün de InsurTech seminerimizle sizin karşınızdayız. Dediğim gibi yoğun katılımcılı bir gün olacak. Heyecanlıyız o anlamda da. Bugün Talanx Grup perspektifini aslında değerlendireceğiz sizlerle birlikte. Aramızda Okan Utkueri var. InsurTech programı danışmanımız ve mentorumuz. Birazdan alacağız onu. Aynı zamanda Talanx Grup adına Myszkowski burada. Çok özür diliyorum. Arada sürçülisan oldu söylerken. Kendisi Hannover Digital Investments'ta yani HDI Sigorta diye bildiğimiz firmada Managing Director olarak çalışıyor. Bir de Emrah Çalık bizimle birlikte yine HDI Sigorta'da Satış, Bilgi, Teknolojileri ve Dijital Çözümler aslında böyle hani pek çok alanı kapsayarak da Genel Müdür Yardımcısı olarak aramızda. Ben şimdi onları yavaş yavaş alıyorum sahneye. Seslerini açıp, görüntüleri açıp aramıza katılabilirler. Welcome guys.
Merhaba Gizem.
Nasılsınız? Hoş geldiniz.
Çok teşekkür ederiz. Teşekkürler. Sen nasılsın?
Ben de iyiyim. Çok teşekkür ederim. Yavaş yavaş başlayalım. Yine bir sürçülisan oldu ama affola deyip o kadar da çalışmıştım diyelim. Okan Bey ben buralardayım. Emrah Bey buralardayım. Yan I'm around here. Siz lütfen buyurun başlayın. Ara ara ben de müdahil olacağım ama çok kısa başlamadan önce yine bir hatırlatma yapayım. Bizi izleyenlerin, dinleyenlerin soruları olursa YouTube'dan iletebilirsiniz. Ben de bu konuşma sonrası, panel sonrası soruları peyderpey ileteceğim. Birazdan görüşmek üzere diyorum. Okan Bey söz sizde, buyurun.
Çok teşekkürler Gizem. Herkese merhabalar. İTÜ Çekirdek InsurTech programı kapsamındaki bir seminerde daha birlikteyiz. Bugün HDI Sigorta ve Talanx grubundan konuşmacılar bizlerle olacaklar. Bildiğiniz gibi biraz önce Gizem bahsetti. Bugün Talanx Grup perspektifinden biraz global InsurTech aktivitelerini, neler olup bitiyor, grubun bu alandaki çalışmalarını, geleceğe ilişkin öngörülerini ve özellikle tabii bu alandaki yatırımcılardan da birisi Talanx grubu. Bu açıdan yaptıkları çalışmaları, startup girişimler, InsurTech girişimler için özellikle yatırım turuna çıkmak isteyen ya da çıkmış olanlar için bir takım ipuçları, tavsiyeler, önerileri hepsini konuşuyor olacağız. Hem HDI Sigorta penceresinden biraz Türkiye'deki çalışmaları, lokal piyasaları dinleyeceğiz Emrah'tan. Aynı zamanda da bize biraz daha global bakış açısını, grubun dünya genelindeki birçok ülkede, birçok kıtada faaliyet gösteriyor. Biraz daha global ölçekteki best practice'lerini, deneyimlerini bizlerle paylaşacak. Ben müsaadenizle yanında bizi anlayabilmesi, takip edebilmesi için İngilizceye geçeceğim birazdan. Bugünkü seminerin, webinarın önemli bölümünü İngilizce yapacağız. Tabii aralarda bizler, Emrah ve ben Türkçe'ye dönebiliriz ihtiyaç durumunda. Sizler lütfen, Gizem biraz bahsetti biraz önce, sorularınızı da bekliyoruz. Bugün aslında mümkün olduğu ölçüde interaktif bir session olmasını arzu ediyoruz. Dolayısıyla sorularınızı lütfen bize YouTube üzerinden yazılı olarak iletin. Türkçe sorularınızı iletmenizde hiçbir sakınca yok. İngilizce yazmak için zorlananlar varsa hiç çekinmesin. Türkçe olarak daha kolay olacaksa eğer Türkçe de iletebilirsiniz. Biz sorularınızı hem Emrah hem Yan'a iletmeye çalışacağız. Hi, Yan, now I switch to English so you can also follow us. Sorry, apologies for the introduction.
No problem.
I know your Turkish is not so perfect, so we will move on in English, but sometimes...
I know, I can say merhaba.
Oh,
merhaba.
Perfect. Perfect. That's a good start. So I just briefly explain our topic and what do we expect from today's webinar. Also, as you know, we will expecting questions from the audience at the second part of our seminar. So we would like to answer all those questions. Hopefully we will get many questions so that we can just not explain what we think, what we see, what we observe, what we project, but also we can answer some of the questions in the audience, so we can give them more kind of tailor-made ideas, and maybe hopefully we will give them some insights, useful experience today. So before we start, shall I ask each of you to briefly introduce yourself, a couple of minutes, who you are, what are you doing, and your role in the organization, just a couple of minutes. So it would be also kind of check-in for our seminar. Maybe we can start with you, Jan. As a Turkish hospitality.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Turkishly delighted. And so I hope I will come soon, because I love this country, and especially the people. So thank you very much for having me here, and I would love to answer specific questions, because whatever you can Google, I mean, you don't need a seminar, but talking real people to real people is always what I like. I've been working with Talanx Group since 2013, so 13. Before I worked quite a lot, like 10 years for Allianz, and before I was a consultant. Also had my experience in startups. I tried to start some startups. I failed. Right now, I'm trying with 2 other ones. So I've been on different sides of this business. If I would be a young person, I would never work for anybody. I would start my own company. If you have kids and stuff, I think it's sometimes harder. But I love what you guys are doing, starting new stuff and failing and studying together. But yeah, so it's really cool. I really wish you lots of learning and success. So I've been, but what I'm doing and what I was doing in Allianz and now in Talanx is very kind of much related to change, to innovation, to connecting people, to use common sense, to simplify things. So I have 2 jobs at Talanx. One is I'm heading the best practice lab, which is a team of 7 people. And what we do, basically, we are a very decentralized company, which is good for the countries, for the people who are at the edge of the organization, because they have lots of freedom. So I tend to say we hire and fire CEOs, give and take money. Yeah, and the rest is, as long as it's legal, they can do. Yeah, not everybody does it. Yeah, but because of that, you have lots of vertical communication and meetings, but the horizontal one is not. So this is where we come in. So we kind of fill this horizontal exchange, connection. What does it mean? That means we try to prevent reinventing the wheel. Then if somebody has a wheel in Turkey, we try to bring it to Mexico. If there is no wheel in the company, we try to reinvent it together. So this is very important. We also do more and more innovation in terms of artificial intelligence, behavior economics, but also new business models. And we are based in Munich, not in Hannover, which has lots of pros, yeah, because we have a different perspective. But our challenge, I must say, is to have the patient with the people, because we cannot just run away and then leave them there. So we have to help them to change, to do different things. And you have to be very patient, very human in a way, because a change is very, very hard for everybody, for me also, yeah. So we do lots of change culture, but we always work on a specific topic, specific things, and the change in the culture is a side effect, yeah. So this is what we do, and I like my job.
Perfect. You also have a role in the investment part.
Yes, this is my second job. I didn't mention it because they don't pay me for this. But okay, if you ask, I say it. But I also like this job. We have Hannover Digital Investment Limited. This is the corporate venture capital. We have 75 million euro, of which we spent about half. Right now we have 13 or 14 companies in portfolio. And I will tell later maybe a bit more about it. But we are 4 managing directors and part-time investors. So we learn a lot. We are very open, very down to earth, and also amazed by the amount of startups and ideas. So this is really, really nice, complementing kind of the traditional company. So it's really, really good to be there.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Emrah,
yes, Okan.
Would you introduce yourself also a bit? Most
Sure.
probably the audience, many of the people who are watching us, they know you, but it would be good, a short introduction.
Thank you, Okan Bey. Nice to meet you with everyone, and thanks to Çekirdek for the opportunity as taking us as part of this event. My name is Emrah Çalık, and I joined to HDI Sigorta in 2009, 12 years ago, to strengthen the organization in the context of sales. HDI Sigorta is a subsidiary of Talanx Group located in Turkey. My past experience is sales, but I realized the challenges and opportunities rising from digitalization and early invested in technologies that bring real business value. Since that, I am initiating and driving new service innovation projects from ideation to go live in HDI Sigorta. Currently, I am head of IT and agency part of sales functions, and I'm leading the core transformation project with the high priority and digitalization while delivering data analytics services and capabilities inside HDI Sigorta.
Okay, thank you, Emrah. Let's start with HDI Sigorta. As I said, most probably many of the audience participants know HDI Sigorta, but could you explain us a bit more about your activities, especially in this innovation, technology, startup, InsurTech arena in Turkey, and your organization? It would be good for all of us, I think, to learn a bit more from you.
I will try my best, Okan Bey. But first of all, let me introduce HDI Sigorta journey shortly. In Turkey, HDI is in 2006, Talanx group entered the Turkish market with the acquisition of İhlas Sigorta, which was a motor-focused insurer with 1.2% market share and with a rank 19 in the Turkish insurance market. In 2013, new management launched a turnaround project, and promises delivered, and foundations for a profitable growth was ready and laid. In 2014, we had the first positive EBIT, which was a good news for our group and for our employees, of course, and new business profitable since 2013. In 2015, management successfully transformed HDI from a motor-focused business to a multi-line and multi-channel insurer. And HDI established itself as one of the most profitable players in the market. 2018, HDI Sigorta acquired Liberty, and the integration took 5 months ahead of initial timeline and the fastest among HDI International's acquisitions. And Liberty sales network operations, IT and portfolio has been integrated to HDI Sigorta 3 years ago. And in 2019, those two actions took, in 1 year, we integrated 2 insurance companies to HDI Sigorta. And in 2019, HDI acquired Ergo Sigorta shortly after the successfully completed acquisition of Liberty. And today, HDI is number 6, ranked number 6 in Turkish markets. And our goal is to extend market penetration and become a top 5 non-life player. Coming back to the InsurTech area and digitalization activities, starting from 2017, HDI increased the focus on digitalization and executed many initiatives related to RPA, machine learning, chatbots, data analytics, and of course, business models, business processes. During this time, we met with several startups and technology vendors for several cooperation. And we have several implementations with RPA, machine learning, and chatbots, voice bots as well. And of course, we are executing lots of POCs with potential vendors. Last but not least, we are part of Çekirdek for Çekirdek for last 2 years, and our senior people from HDI became a mentor of Çekirdek program, and we are having several meetings with startups to support them, to discuss their ideas and initiatives in several areas.
Thank you, Emrah. I know you are also active in the Turkish Association Insurance Companies. So you have a lot of activities and also you play an important role over there. So not just HDI, but I think you are playing a very significant role in the industry about innovation, technology, digitalization. Also, you have been supporting Çekirdek InsurTech program since the beginning, since the idea stage, let's say. So thank you very much and feel success in this journey. So then, if you let me, Emrah, I will switch back to Jan. So let's talk about a bit more the global perspective. Jan, when you introduce yourself, you briefly mentioned about the practice lab and your, let's say, knowledge sharing among different countries, different markets. Could you tell us a bit more about this best practice lab, actually, and also the Talanx group? What are you doing? What is your objectives? Maybe some, let's say, best practices or some of the projects you may share with us. So it would give the perspective to the audience, the Talanx group, its activities, and also best practice lab initiative.
You know, the most important thing is, I think, if it comes to innovation, working with startups, changing whatsoever, is to translate the outside trends, opportunities into your organization. Yeah, if you are a small organization like 5 people, then it's easier. If you have we have, I think, 21,000 worldwide. We have retail business in Europe and Latin America, 14 countries, I think. We have industrial insurance worldwide, #1 in Germany and worldwide quite strong. We have Hannover with the reinsurance worldwide and quite strong in Germany. So if you have this kind of organization, you really have to translate the ideas and the trends into this body, because otherwise it will not accept it. Yeah. So if I would have to do this in a startup, what I'm doing, or in a centralized organization, it would be completely different. Yeah. So that is the biggest challenge. You have to translate it into this organization. And so what we do, we have, for us, people are #1. People. Everything else I can program, buy, steal, copy, whatever. People, people you have to take with you. Yeah. So it's very, very important. Once you have the people on your side, things start happening. Yeah. And they have to do it voluntary. So what we do, we have we call it like labs, 2 labs, which is basically a community of 30 to 50 people that are meeting once or twice a year, always in different location, from Sao Paulo, Istanbul, Warsaw, whatever, where we consult the host. So the whole world is helping the host to fix problems or opportunities. And then we exchange best practices. We get inspirations from startups. We always invite startups, the local startups. So if we meet next time in Istanbul, probably will be like some of you sitting with us and saying, this is the idea whatsoever. So we are very open and very practical. Yeah, but we have different time horizons. So we want something to do it now, maybe 6 months, but also in 24 months and so. We call it skill up, such as to understand the Bitcoin, to understand the blockchain, just to be prepared. Yeah. And typically we have 3 phases for the ideas, like 1 to initiate, just to place it in the minds. And if timing is good, we immediately do something or not. Then the second one is piloting, experimenting. So there's, I don't know, one country says, okay, I will pilot it and I will tell you what it is. So the other countries are observing, helping, maybe somebody gives money, somebody gives a person. So we check these things for us, for our body, if it works with us. And in the best case, we start scaling. So we introduce it to the rest of the company, and maybe we use it on a daily basis, and maybe also in other countries. Like I remember we brought from Mexico, like the ideas of a spare part auction, localize it in Turkey, where we this kind of like the claims service centers. We brought pricing from Brazil that was the best to Poland. Poland made it even better than Brazil. Now Brazil is coming to Poland to get it. So it's kind of like a giving and taking among equals. Yeah, we don't care if the country is big and the company is small or whatsoever. Everybody's equal. Yeah, and we have also fun in the evening, drinking wine or beer or eating. This is also very important. So people is very important. So we have this. One lab is two labs are close to the P&L, to the profit and loss. We go for the biggest cash flow. The biggest cash flow is revenue. So we have pricing, marketing, distribution. These guys, power pricing lab. The second lab, service lab, the biggest cash flow going out. You have to pay the customers the claims. The criminals get the part, the fraud, and maybe there's some customer center and so on. So this is service lab. And then we have one lab, which Emrah is, he's in many labs because he's the man of many things, like a Renaissance man, but we are very happy. So we have the group Digital Lab, which is basically the COO. So they're overarching, look at the whole company on data, algorithm, partnership. How can I digitalize the company? And then we have two labs, which are more kind of like a concept-oriented behavior economics to understand the customer and to help them to make decisions. And the second is artificial intelligence. So there's like 5 labs. And in these labs, they generate ideas for so-called agile desk. Agile desk is, I mean, by the way, we don't have any definition of anything. In Germany, it's very hard not to have a definition because, okay, how do you define best practice? I said, I don't define it. I can show you too. If you like, yeah. How do you define agile desk? What is innovation for you? Say, I will not define it, but I show you innovation. This is innovation. Huh? I don't know how to define it. Yeah. So we don't care about the definition or footnotes. We're interested in doing. So this agile desk is basically to take an idea to a prototype. Yeah. Because if I talk to you and say, oh, can I have an idea? And say, oh yeah, another idea. Yeah, I'm crazy, blah, blah. But if I say, I made this will be the new mouse, and said, no, it's too big. So you start focusing on this mouse and not on me. So we put in between the people, the prototype, and they start making it better. So this is what we do in Agile Desk. Yeah. And we do it worldwide. We do it physically, hopefully soon again. Now we do it virtually. And whatever we do, we always look for cool startups with cool solutions, and they become our partner. We become the customer. Sometimes we invest. Sometimes they get the data that they need. So we don't have any fear of showing, sharing. Some people do, but we use Slack and try to be very open and at the same time down to earth. Yeah.
Thank you, Jan. I think that's really important. And I think it's a big opportunity for the Turkish local startups, InsurTech, because I think that's a big, let's say, window of opportunity for them to be, let's say, visible and promote their product solutions to much bigger audience around the globe.
We have two
opportunity.
Yeah, we have two things, if you allow Okan to add, because that might be interesting. We as a potential customer or partner, we have at least 2 ways to connect with us. One is, if you guys go to Hannover Aquarium, this is kind of like a website where you can put yourself, your pitch decks, or the primary insurers of Hannover worldwide will see you, and then maybe we'll do business with you. Yeah, so it doesn't cost anything. You just go there. There's some qualification process, PowerPoint, whatever, but you can basically put yourself in this window and they will see you. The other option, which we will start very soon, is what we call Ops Day. Ops Day, like Operation Day, is where we have a specific topic that these guys like Emrah say, what about fraud? What about lead generation, whatever? We pick one topic and we ask the people around the world, which startups do you know that are doing some cool stuff around this topic? We invite them to virtually pitch and say, okay, why don't you become my customer? I have a cool solution for fraud. Yeah. So there are two ways, of course, anything in between sending me an email or calling Emrah, whatever, it's always works. But these are like more like the two formats that we are offering. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Emrah, I know you have been active in this best practice lab and different initiatives within the group. So you have the experience. Maybe it would be interesting for us to hear from you. How do you compare Turkish local ecosystem, startups, InsurTech versus other countries, other markets? What are the pluses or maybe the improvement areas? Can you, if you compare Turkey versus other parts of the group, what is your experience? What are your observations?
Okan Bey, as Jan mentioned, it's starting with people, of course. So it requires talented people, and I believe Turkey is quite strong here. We have very talented people, very open-minded, and they're doing very well. And the second one is a solid network of existing innovation and technology-oriented corporations. If we rank Turkey here, I think we are positioning in the middle here. And the third one is the presence of an ecosystem of startups and their regular collaboration with large corporations. From what we see, Turkey is also quite strong here. We have many examples in this area. Perhaps some countries have several AI leading startups, but at the end, it is not the number that matters. Most than one leading technology would be more sufficient. This is my third aspect. And the fourth and the last one is a tradition of risk-taking and seeding investments, such as you may observe in United States or Israel, or eventually backed by publicly financed institutions like we can observe in France or Germany. Coming back to Turkey is, I think we are in the beginning of our journey as Turkey, and we are strategizing and structuring our early financial and export support to young innovative companies, and the combination of both private money and with government-backed support to capture new markets. And capturing these new markets will help this great innovation from Turkey to be more visible, to become more visible abroad.
Thank you, Emrah. Before moving on, let me remind you about questions once again. Please let us know your questions through YouTube channel in writing. Don't wait until the end. So when you listen, Emrah, Jan, when they mention something, if there is any question pop up in your mind, just put it down in the YouTube channel so that at the end of the session, we would have time to answer all of your questions. I think that would be quite useful for you and for all of us. Jan, shall we a bit more talk about the investment part? You mentioned that you have a fund of 75 million euro, if I remember correctly, and more or less you spent half of it, or you invested half of it to more than 10 InsurTech startup companies. Could you tell us a bit more about your activities? What is your selection criteria? So which type of InsurTechs or startups you are investing? Could you tell us a bit more about your investment? Although you are not paid, we know it, but I know it's very on top of those activities as well. So it would be interesting for all of us to listen from you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as you can see, money is not the main motivator for people to do cool stuff. So But what we do, I mean, we're still learning, yeah, and you at the beginning, I mean, coming from a big company, typically you have in a backpack lots of this stuff that you carry with you, because it's not a greenfield. So what we have some focus, we have some reporting, we have some, yeah. So what we, right now, our focus geographically is Europe. So we invest in startups from Europe, quite many from Israel, because there's lots of things going on, and North America. Yeah, we are discussing maybe Asia, maybe Central Eastern Europe is not even really properly covered, where I think that there will be lots of, for me, it would be kind of like, the Europe outside of Western Europe, there's lots of things coming up, I think, the next years, yeah, including Turkey, yeah, and I think we should go there as well. So we are discussing it. In terms of topics, content, we are interested in cyber security, in artificial intelligence use of that is like close to our business, like, I don't know, assessing the risk better, and in claims and underwriting. Then behavior economics, there are not so many startups using it, unfortunately, but we have one in our portfolio that uses behavior economics, and rather B2B than B2C. I mean, we are quite open, but because we want to optimize this business, and we are of course InsurTech as such, yeah. We when we invest, we don't invest just for the return on investment, but we also would like to learn to kind of get our business better by learning from the startups or using them. So there is a strategic part which is good for the startups, because you don't just get money, but you get expertise, data, challenging questions, and so on. Like one of my colleague in the board of Hannover Digital Investment is Uli Wallin. Uli Wallin was, I think, 17 years CEO of Hannover Re. It's probably one of the most profitable reinsurers in the world. To have him 17 years, and then you come as a startup, and he said, at the end, you need a reinsurer. Whatever you do in InsurTech, you need a reinsurer. So this is the rules of the game. So he gives them, this is really, really very, very, very helpful for the startup. So this is our focus. And like I said, we have, I think, 13 companies now. And we are very, we don't micromanage, yeah? I mean, we don't, because sometimes it's a problem with the corporate. We see the dialogue, you know, like they want to report every week and whatsoever. We don't if everything is fine, we just let them go. If not, we try to help. Typically, you have this kind of like with the kids, you know, different stages, puberty and this and that. And sometimes the kids don't know that this is coming, but there's a kind of a mother, father, you say, okay, I can help them to manage the growth. Because if you grow every 2 years like 100%, then there's lots of work to do, not just adding spreadsheets. And so we try to help wherever we can, but we are giving them lots of freedom. Yeah, so this is very important for us.
Yeah? Also, I mean, when do you explain a couple of the criteria, but when you invest, how do you invest, and how do you select those InsurTechs or startups you invest as a group?
Yeah, so we have different sources. I mean, one source is just somebody met somebody and said, okay, it's a cool startup, talk to them, yeah? Then we have a partner in Germany that is helping us to screen the markets in the US and using all kinds of tools, whatever, Israel, Europe. Then we have our people like Emrah who are saying, hey, look, there's a startup in our country. They are doing this and this. So we are completely, there's no source that we say, oh, we will not use it. Yeah. So, or sometimes startups write to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, would you be interested? So they are coming from all different directions. What kind of filters we use to filter out? For us, it's very important. Number one, is the market for this kind of things. Yeah. Usually there is a market, but the question is how big it is. So is this opportunity big enough? Because if somebody has a solution for a very, very small niche, then probably we would rather not be interested. But if there is a big market, then it's a plus. Yeah. so that you have the opportunity, then you look at the capability. A capability for me is mainly the people. Mainly the people, because I think the startups are successful because of the team, or not successful because of the team. Yeah, and the team, I mean, including the investors. Yeah, because they also do lots of stupid things sometimes. Yeah, so we look at the team very much, and we don't look at the team as say, okay, these are the guys who will bring the startup to, I don't know, 1 billion, but other the people who can bring it from 0 to 10 or to 100. And will they let the other people do the 100 to the 1 million, or will they be able to change whatsoever? So if you have teams that fell in love with the solution and not with the problem, then probably it will be very hard to convince them to change something, you know, because this is my hammer. I look for nails until I find the last one. I said, no, but you don't need. So people, they have to be committed, targeted, but they have to be flexible enough to say, okay, if I see that I'm not the right person, I will let somebody do it because of the business, for the sake of business. So team is the number one. Everything else you can change, adjust. But if the market is there and the team is hungry but also flexible, then we would definitely invest. You know.
Good. Most probably then you have been listening many startups, InsurTechs, listen their investment pitches regularly. So, I mean, could you tell us a bit more about the main trends and also the future expectations, projections about InsurTech, where it is going? I mean, which, let's say, areas, which solutions, or which, let's say, type of InsurTechs are becoming more and more popular? So how is your observation on that?
Mm-hmm. There's a saying in Bavaria that the predicting and predictions is a very tricky thing, especially if it comes to the future, you know. So I can tell you what I think. I think that what happened in InsurTech is that the periphery of the insurance has been attacked or taken mainly for fixing, so to do it better. I don't know, price comparison, some lead generation. So it was kind of like the periphery of the core business, yeah, because or claims or whatever. So all the periphery. So I think this is still a topic, but I think quite well covered, yeah. And what I see now is that there's more and more InsurTechs where they're going to the center, to the core. Like I will take the risk. I will, yeah. And I think, and also they want to do it a bit differently than, so the first one was fixing. So, okay, I can be cheaper, faster, whatever. But in the core, some of them are trying to do it differently. Yeah. And the challenge they face is the timeless thing. So sometimes we forget with the new things that there's a timeless thing that will never disappear. Yeah. So the timeless thing is that insurance probably for some time will be push and not pull. People not wake up in the morning, so let's buy 2 insurance or something, yeah, like a coffee, yeah. So this is a bit tricky. So you have to solve this problem because otherwise you need somebody to push it to sell to people. The second problem is the scaling. If I have something cool, I insure this kind of things, and the little bags is okay. I insured 100 and 1,000, but then I mean to scale it is very hard because I have to, yeah. So scaling is hard. And one of the biggest challenges I think that needs to be solved somehow is the interactions, you know. We have, in insurance right now, we have, in 10 years, you will have as many interactions as Google in 1 hour. Yeah. So you look at Google maybe 5 times, and maybe in 10 years you have, yeah. So if you don't have interaction, there is no return on interaction. So if you don't have interaction, you cannot do anything. You cannot have a relationship meeting somebody once a year, yeah? So this is so when they go into the core, they face this kind of issues, plus they need capacity from reinsurer because they, oh shit, I have to reinsure myself. I didn't know that. And so this is like the business for adults, and they are going there, and the first one will fail, but I think eventually there will probably be successes. If they will solve these problems, you know, that the insurance is not like a paying taxes, but it's something more fun, more useful, more meaningful interactions, yeah. And I think for me, this is what's going on. The good thing is that the traditional companies are still slow and also opening. So now there might be not you and me, the winner, but maybe together, you know. So I would expect that there will be some winners that are kind of mix of old and new, you know.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Emrah, may I turn back to you and talk about a bit more Turkish InsurTechs and startups? You have been, of course, supporting the InsurTech program for the last 2 years, but before that also you have the experience to work with local startups and InsurTechs. So what are your kind of recommendations and tips and clues to local Turkish startups, InsurTechs, to be successful in insurance domain, to work with HDI Sigorta as a client, or at a later stage maybe to be invested by the digital investment of Hannover Group? So what is your main, let's say, recommendations, suggestions, and tips and clues for them?
Thank you, Okan Bey. In the last 5 years, we observed huge investments from insurance industry to digitalization and InsurTech area. And this investment is not only from the industry players, also startups as well. We observe a lot of startups focusing on the insurance industry, which is good for us. And we are benefiting from their experiences and their ideas. And regarding the one digitalization index research, insurance industry ranking is very high when compared to other industries. But it is still lower than the world average. And on the other side, when you look at the business models, majority part of the business models stands on the traditional part as well. So what I'm trying to say is there are more rooms to improve the insurance industry. There are a lot of way to go, and this is good news for every stakeholder, every player in this industry, starting from reinsurer, insurance companies, customers, of course, technology providers, vendors, and startups as well. I would not go into the detail for recommendations. I will not give financial recommendations, but I would like to focus on the business part as much as I can. Startups, I think, should concentrate on the very few use cases only, where they can truly create value for their possible customers, aiming at early acquiring such like corporate customers. Beyond the technology, the ease of collaboration. I think, what does it mean? A clear approach for proof of concepts, for example, or mastering of legal aspects such as data usage, GDPR, or etc., and the capacity to integrate with a heterogeneous legacy systems. I think this three will play a key role in successfully partnership closing and agreement closing. And those successful partnerships are key to get the investments, I think. But at the end, money will go to success. I think Jan can make much better comments, better than me, for the financial part. Maybe it's good to learn from him.
Yeah, maybe we just talk about the, let's say, recommendations for local Turkish InsurTechs, Jan, to be partner with HDI Sigorta, to work with them as a client, also maybe at a later stage to be invested by Hannover Group. So what would be your recommendation, suggestion, tips for the local startups that they are listening us now?
I would say, number one, write an email to Emrah and say what you're doing and why we should talk to you. you can copy me immediately or write to me as well. And don't worry about these formats and how and timing, whatever. Just write to him, write to me. It's okay. This is me. I have this cool idea, cool solution. Can we talk? Yeah. And I think this is the easiest. Everything else is like you have to know where to put it in, blah blah blah. So just write to us. I would say I hope Emrah is okay with that. And we will be rather quick to answer, and then we will see, where we can meet, where we can include you, yeah. And I think that also I would say in general use all these, conferences or things where you become visible, because people who are looking for investments, they're just people, they if they don't see it, they don't know it. Yeah, if you and now virtually it doesn't even cost much money. To be in conference A, B, C. So I would rather be more visible and invest in this, having good pitch deck, I would also invest in some mentor or people who help you to make it a good story, because like with a person, you meet a person, then something catches you because of the way of talking or whatever. So this is very, at the end, it's a humans who are, yeah. So it's very important to not to be too technical. Just tell your story, make it interesting, make it curious, make it maybe fit the audience. If you have the guy from Hannover, it may be different than the guy from Moscow or something. Think about how you communicated, what you communicate, how you come across. Ask for feedback to improve, because this is the first step, which is very important. If they say no, that you might not never have a chance. But if they, I'm publishing a book soon, yeah, and I was drawing the pictures, and I wrote to this publisher because people said, nobody will want it. I wrote to publisher, and I tell him my story. I come from a small village in Poland, and my father was carpenter. I was drawing on a piece of wood, and blah blah blah. And he said afterwards, the book is coming. He said afterwards, the only reason I continue reading, because you started like a human, like say, okay, I'm not some like whatever. He said, I like the first sentence, and think about what is your first sentence. They talk about this elevator pitch, whatever. It is important how you introduce yourself, and do it more often than less. It's cheap these days,
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jan. Then let's switch to Q&A session. We have more or less 10 minutes left. Tekrar hatırlatayım. Sorularınızı lütfen YouTube üzerinden bize yazılı olarak iletin. Biz o da soruları burada Jan ve Emrah'la birlikte yanıtlamaya gayret edeceğiz. The first question is a bit tough one.
And then Emrah should answer.
What's going to be the main topic of the Talanx International and also HDI Turkey at 2022, so next year, about digital investments? So what is going to be the main topic for group and also the Turkish perspective regarding digital investments next year?
Jan?
Okay, I can start with the group. So we have three topics. One is partnerships, and I mean partnership not just for distribution, but going beyond, like co-creation, kind of direction, ecosystem. So partnership is very important. We want to be partnership ready. We want to be attractive. We want to be fast, because we think there's always a teamwork. It's becoming like you need different parties to. So partnerships, digital partnerships. Yeah. Number two is data. Different sources, different way of management, which is, partnership nowadays without data isn't. So we want to use more data, better use of data, and algorithms, what's also AI data, yeah. And number three, they're not very digital, but digital helps, is to better understand the customer, how they decide, and to kind of, there was like this concept of segment of one like 20 years ago. I think the segment of one is today. I can have a different way of talking to Okan and a different to Emrah. It's possible to use it. So it's kind of mixture of behavior economics and data. they all overlap. So this is for me the key elements.
Thank you, Jan. Any feedback from you, Emrah?
Okan Bey, we would like to be a fit company in 2022. What I can say, we are a fit one right now, but we integrated two companies to HDI Sigorta from technical point of view, from the infrastructure point of view. We are completing to transfer or consolidate the data centers of those three companies in 1-2 months. So we will have a good base for scaling up. So I think it is time for scaling up for HDI Sigorta. It might be with a new acquisition or establishing another insurance company in the market. And of course, we are following the group, as you mentioned, AI, behavioral economics, and partnerships. Partnerships, including ecosystems as well. But one main important thing for us is distribution channels, agents, broker, banks. As we are agent-dominated company in Turkey, we would like to focus on digitizing and transforming our distribution channel processes as well. And of course, while improving our internal processes and internal business models. Of course, it's not a short one, it's a long journey, and our agents has to step in at the time and we will work with us. But most of you know, HDI Sigorta in Turkey is working with their distribution channels. We are not going direct right now, but if you would like to go to direct business, for example, we would like to keep our agents in the loop and we would like to work with them. So far, 2020 is like this for us.
Teşekkürler Emrah. Ben ufak bir hatırlatma da yapayım. Sorularınızı Türkçe'de yazabilirsiniz. İngilizce yazmakta zorlananlar olursa hiç sorun değil. Türkçe'de iletebilirsiniz. Biz onları burada tercüme ederiz. This question is to you, Jan. What is, you mentioned, you talk about it during the session, but maybe a bit more, let's say, explicit answer. What is your motivation when you invest into the startups? Exploring the new technologies for Talanx entities or making kind of revenue and bottom line profit by going beyond in a long term? So is it more financial investment or more about learning, working together and to get benefit from those investments?
Definitely the learning and using it and so we would not invest if we know that we will lose money. Yeah, but if we break even and learn a lot and improve our operations or change our company by introducing it, then break even is a good investment. Yeah, of course, if you have more return on investment, it's fine. But I don't think you can really do the one without the other. I mean, you can do return on investment focus without learning strategic whatsoever. You can do, but I think if you don't understand the strategy, if you're not interested in the content, you probably might make a mistake. And if you do strategic stuff without looking at the money, then maybe you do one company, second company, then the boss will come and say, okay, what are you doing? We're wasting my money. But for us, in this order, first learn, understand how we can improve by using it. How can this startup bring us to the next level? And then without losing money. If we can make money on top, perfect. Yeah.
Good. May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you allow. This is a big question mark for many people, of course. Will the insurance industry be disrupted or not? Are we talking about evolution or revolution of the industry? I mean, what is your view on that? Because still we are working in a very conventional, let's say, traditional, of course, there are technological improvements, let's say a couple of changes here and there, but still the main business model is quite on the traditional way. Are we going to see this disruption in our industry like many others, or will it be just some improvements in different areas by using new technologies? So will it be evolution or revolution? What is your view on that?
I think it will be an evolution as long as there's the guardians of the industry basics. Yeah. So if you have the regulators, if you have the financial oversight and data protection whatsoever. So let's say you cannot do something different for women or men or whatever. So there's lots of regulation, yeah, how you apply the data and how you do your finances, yeah. And like in telecom business, telecommunication, once the regulation allow you to be a free market or whatever, then I think there will be more revolution, yeah. But still, you have to see that the insurance is not just another business. Insurance is main objective for insurance from the state point of view is to collect money to finance the state. So if the insurance will not collect this money and for life insurance, everything, and invest in the bonds, and so the state can function, then the state would say, who will collect this money, police or who? Yeah. So insurance has much more role to play in the whole system than just, selling a bit of car insurance or something. And I think if you have a revolution, you have to think twice as a state regulator, what does it mean to the whole system? Yeah. To the reinsurance, to, let's say if you insure something and then there's no capacity to cover it. Yeah. So reinsurance is one bottleneck or the guardian of the evolution. The other one is regulation. And the third one is maybe people itself, because, okay, we don't want this or that, because it's kind of like a tax. So I think there will be evolution. I don't think there will be a revolution, maybe some niches or the less regulated parts. But maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah. And what about blockchain or decentralized finance? Does it have the power to change the main gameplay in the industry? It's still too early. The technology is not robust enough, is not, let's say, fast enough and cheap enough. But when it comes, does it have the power, potential to make a big difference in our industry?
I think it's one of the candidates. I mean, the idea, I think to change something dramatically, because that might lead to less fraud or I mean, that could be, but it's like, if there are two fax machines in Turkey, they say, okay, the revolution is not really coming. Yeah, but if every shop has a fax, it's like, okay, wow, that changed completely everything. Yeah, or mobile. Yeah. So I think if the blockchain is adopted, and you cannot miss blockchain because nobody can miss mobile phone. Yeah, I mean you just buy it. Okay, you are not the first one. So I think blockchain could be a candidate for changing something completely. Maybe there's also something like, I own my data. Today, I don't own my data. Everybody else making money with my data, but I don't own my data. They're selling my birthday, name, and everything. Yeah. Maybe one day you own your data. You can say, I can license my birthday for €5 or something. So I think there will be lots of changes that we don't.
So you can create NFT, non-fungible token for your personal
for example,
data.
Yeah, but it has to have a critical mass, and then you have a probably. So I think revolution will come, but not as soon as we think, but it will come.
Yeah. The other question, Jan, you mentioned that you would be willing to have a startup when you make the introduction. The question is to you. So if now imagine you have all the resources and let's say your needs, what kind of a startup would you start or would you, let's say, launch? Maybe it's secret. Maybe you have already plans.
I have two that I like other people working for me on it. Let's see how it goes. One has to do with insurance, but I would not like to tell much about now. But it's about on the claims area. But if I and this is on my list, what I would do, I would have a startup that is maybe even like a NGA or distribution or something, but I would put it in between the insurance and the people and use behavior economics to make insurance more understandable, easier to make the decision, easier to segment people. So I think this is absolutely missing because you have mainly like focus on price comparison, where you reach only the bargain hunters. But I think there are many people who are not comfortable with that. So I would kind of like translate the insurance for different types of behavioral decision types, yeah. And I think you would have probably double as high conversion rate. It's still on my list, but I would like to do that one day. And of course, I also had an idea about like, I think I call it like a do-it-yourself insurance without insurance. So you don't insure, but you save. I tell you, normally you would have to pay €100 per your house insurance, but I don't insure you, but we invest for you. And if something happens, you take the money out and pay for the house. If you don't have enough, we do the peer-to-peer lending. I have the concept. If somebody is interested to do it, please do so. Basically like insurance without insurance. But I said, do it yourself. It's your responsibility because you will have zero fraud and your money is your money. Yeah, you don't have to spend it if you don't have claims. So I have more ideas than if somebody wants ideas, call me. But I guess you're on your own. You have lots of those.
Yeah, I mean, especially I like this peer-to-peer solution. Make your own insurance. It's really interesting. So maybe when we have more time, we can talk about new ideas.
Yes.
Emrah, any input from your side about revolution, evolution, blockchain discussion?
For the blockchain, I agree with Jan. It is there. We are also trying to find a use case for the insurance industry, but we couldn't manage to find it. 20 people from different countries met in Israel or Munich, and we tried to dig the technology. But for the insurance industry, specifically insurance industry, we couldn't find the use case yet. But I believe we will find it one day. Maybe I can close with a startup idea that I had before, but I couldn't manage to execute it. Maybe in the future, or maybe it's already executed by someone, but maybe it's good to share with everyone. I was interested in digital assets, and I couldn't remember the English name.
Wallet. You mean wallet? Digital wallet.
Digital wallet, miras. Digital.
Heritage.
Digital heritage. Yes, digital heritage. So, for example, it's a real life example. My father write a heritage for us, and keep it in the notary, but notary had a fire and our heritage burned. And when my father passed away, we couldn't do anything with this heritage because it's not existing. Yeah, everything lost. And so...
and Emrah, notary was not your brother, huh?
and there was a huge bureaucracy that we would like to follow up. And also we have digital assets like cloud accounts, email accounts, and Instagram accounts, or whatever. And I was thinking of what will happen when we passed away. What will be the status of these accounts? So I tried to find a solution for that 10 years ago. I had some papers, worked on it, but as I said, I couldn't execute it.
And nobody could do it, Emrah. Still, you have time to do it.
Yes, but of course, time changed and the requirements are also changed. So there might be different approaches around this idea, and someone can execute it.
Yeah, I mean, that's still relevant. Not only the social media, also in games, for instance, in e-sport and games, there are certain characters created by gamers, which are really valuable. They sell it. So if something happens to you, then what will happen to those characters, or let's say the kind of the IP you created. So it's very interesting. So we have a couple of minutes past our time, but there is one more question to Jan. If you answer it quickly, then we can go to the closing part. The question is, when do you think blockchain will reach legal status and become widespread in Germany and EU, in Europe? So when? You said future, but is it a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years or more?
Well, I mean, it is legal now already. I mean, we are using it. We have a small solution in Poland in our company using blockchain. Hannover Re and HDI Global is using it in Austria and Western Europe. So we have some small applications, and when hard to tell. I think Corona helped to digitalize the world in a super speedy way, partially. I think if there's not such an event, it will take some time. If China does it faster, then probably the rest will be. So I think there would be some kind of like a reason to be faster, Either the mafia will do something, or China, or whatever, and so we have to be very fast now. Like the Corona, all of a sudden everybody was using Zoom. Yeah, I think without this, it will be especially Western Europe. They like discussing, not deciding, whatever. But I think if this event comes, maybe there will be some environmental event where the network will be destroyed or something, or burned. I don't know. But I think it will probably need some kind of this event to be faster. Otherwise, people don't like changing,
Yeah. Also, when we talk about blockchain, there are different sub-elements. I mean, the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and others, that's one area that we kind of confuse. Smart contracts, I think that's the second domain, which is quite important and relevant to insurance industry, and smart contracts will definitely make a change when the technology is ready. What do I mean ready? It will be faster and cheaper. Now it's a bit slow and also quite expensive. And the third element, I think it would be this decentralized finance, DeFi environment with stable coins and all. I mean, that will also make a big difference. But it's coming, and as you said, there are already some use cases, but small, let's say, examples. When it will become widespread, I think it has a big potential, as you said, to make a big difference. Good.
And I think also, I think that Bill Gates said it, or like we tend to overestimate the changes in the next 2 years or something, and we underestimate the longer. And I think that eventually something like that will come. Right now we are testing different areas, but I think the way we live, the way we do things in many areas doesn't make much sense. And I think it will come, but the old will defend itself, because there's lots of money to be made with the old stuff, or maybe in transparency whatsoever. Yeah. So it's almost like in this, Marvel movies, the good and the bad. Somehow you think like that there is something like that keeps fighting,
You're right.
Of course, we are on the good side.
Of course. Okay, perfect. Let me invite Gizem among us, and also ask your closing remarks. Any closing remarks before we close the session? Maybe we can start from you, Jan.
My closing remark is this is on LinkedIn in my profile, because I wrote 40 poems for myself for the 40th birthday. And in one poem, I said that reality is the part of the imagination that you have decided not to change anymore, but to accept it as it is. So the reality is this, what you say, I will not change it. You can change anything. So especially if you are young, go for it. If you are older like us, you can also go for it. It's your life. It's your gift. Unpack it, yeah?
Perfect. Thank you. Emrah?
I was not ready for this question, but keep learning, keep developing, and keep changing.
Perfect. Okay, then we hand over to you, Gizem.
Thank you very much to all of you. Actually, it was really useful, and of course, thank you for the startup ideas. I believe there will be some opportunities are coming to Çekirdek. Thank you very much, sincerely. So, bizi izleyen herkese çok teşekkür ederiz. Umarım sizler için faydalı bir etkinlik olmuştur. Bugün HDI Sigorta'nın odak noktalarını dinlemiş olduk. Önümüzdeki yıllarda neler var onları dinlemiş olduk. Hatta yatırım ihtimallerini, kriterleri dinlemiş olduk. İç Çekirdek'te kapımız sizlere açık. Arada minik startup girişim fikirleri de hani söylemeye çalıştık. Belki hani içinizde bir şeyler kıpırdanmaya başlar. Sizi de aramızda girişimci olarak görürüz biz de. Çok teşekkür ederim tekrar. Görüşmek üzere. See you.
Görüşmek üzere. Bye bye. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Emrah.